on this blockbusting, epic episode of MythBusters.
Hold on!
James Cameron
Yeah, baby.
This is James friggin' Cameron.
has a conundrum.
I am indeed James frickin' Cameron.
Thousands of furious fans flooding the internet claim Cameron got it wrong.
It's alive!
That Rose
Don't call me Rose.
and Jack could have both lived to tell their Titanic tale by sharing their floating flotsam.
Stay on, Rose.
Meanwhile, surf's up and away for Carrie, Grant, Tori,
What could possibly go wrong?
and Buster. Our trio of intrepid rocket scientists ask,
Yeah, that was a crazy flip.
can you really catch a wild, rad ride with rockets? Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
and Jamie Heineman.
We're gonna have an adventure.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Together with Tori Belleci,
Time to go diving.
Grant Imahara,
Start the car!
and Carrie Byron. They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. First up, Adam and Jamie tackle an internet sensation that's causing an A-list viewer extreme vexation.
Hey,
Hey, we have a very exciting myth today from an unbelievably special viewer.
who's that?
None other than James Cameron.
You mean that guy that went to the bottom of the Marianas Trench?
That's the guy. I was thinking of him more as a movie director, but yes, that's the guy.
So, James Cameron also directs movies, is what you're telling me.
Yes, he does.
Really? So what's his myth?
Actually, I think we should talk to him.
Okay.
Hey, James.
Hey,
Could you tell Jamie what you told me?
sure. So for the last few months since I released Titanic in 3D, I've been getting dozens of emails every day saying that Rose is a selfish so-and-so and Jack's an idiot.
Who are Rose and Jack?
Two main characters of the movie.
All right, Jamie, at the end of the film Titanic, Rose and Jack are distributed among the detritus of the sunken ship, and Rose is perched on a piece of wood, and Jack is not.
Because there wasn't enough buoyancy to support both of them?
Right, and Jack makes the ultimate sacrifice, and he dies so that Rose can live.
Right, so anyway, these thousands of fans think that I got it wrong and that they both could have been supported by the board and they both could have lived, so this is what I want you guys to test.
Wait, so you made a movie about the Titanic?
Yes.
Why would you do that? We already know how it ends.
He doesn't get out much, does he?
No, he doesn't.
The movie, the second highest grossing of all time, was anything but a disaster. But the ending has caused a storm of protest. Desperate to survive in the freezing cold North Atlantic,
Stay on. Stay on, Rose.
Jack and Rose attempt to clamber onto a piece of debris. And seemingly, there's room aboard for just one. And Jack, being the noble hero he is, sacrifices himself to keep Rose's head above water. But multitudes of Titanic and MythBuster fans don't believe it. James Cameron's inbox has been flooded with the theory that both hero and heroine could have lived to tell their Titanic tale.
Okay, so I need you guys to find out who's right. These so-called fans or my movie.
Okay, it seems to me the place we start is with buoyancy. The question is, could the board possibly have supported both Rose and Jack?
I agree, but the second issue is about survival in those freezing conditions.
You mean if they both could have died regardless of the board?
Exactly.
Well, let's say I get started doing some small-scale testing with a mini board and a mini Rose and Jack.
And why don't I start to prep for some hypothermia tests?
And I'll get back to sweeping up.
Awesome.
So the epic full-scale Jack and Rose reenactment comes later.
Let's see if we can both get on this thing.
Because this Titanic tale won't set sail until it's been tested in safer waters, where the guys opt for an efficient division of labor. Jamie's taking charge of how to quantify and replicate the hero's hypothermia, and grumble about the lack of logic in love, while Adam's cutting things down to size.
Okay, the myth in miniature. So what are you going to do?
I'm glad you asked. I'm going to start by playing with dolls. I'm going to make some very accurate dolls of Rose and Jack, accurate both in terms of their size, but also in their weight. And then I'm going to put them on a piece of wood that is exactly the same type of wood as the original.
Right, so white oak.
Yes, and basically put that in a tub full of salty water and see what happens.
And prove my movie was right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
With Adam's quarter-sized dolls cut and sewn, they're ready to put on some weight. Exactly how much is kind of clever.
Now, given that this guy is 1/4 my size, does that make him 1/4 my weight? No! Let me explain, because most people get this wrong. This is a 2-inch cube of aluminum. This is exactly 1/4 scale, a 1/2-inch cube of aluminum. This one weighs 352 grams. This one weighs 5.5 grams. Actually, just a shade under. How do we get there from there? Well, what you do is you scale by what's called the cube root. That means 3 separate times because there are 3 separate dimensions, length, width, and height. You take 352 and divide it by 4. Divide it by 4 again and divide it by 4 one more time and you get 5.5 grams. Isn't that cool?
And to achieve the correctly scaled weights, Adam fills the dolls with beans and knowledge.
Oh, ready, Jack? I'm gonna fill your head full of knowledge. Learn that stuff. Yeah, it's good for you. Science. Math.
Next up, Adam brings the same scaling rigor to the key prop piece. Using the same type of wood, he accurately scales each dimension by 1/4. And with a final coat of theatrical magic,
Perfect.
Adam is just a bathtub full of salty seawater, short of being ready.
Now, our math says that about 2/3 of this 50-pound bag should be enough to get me to the proper ocean salinity. Then I'm gonna mix it up and use a hydrometer to make sure I've got proper salinity. Excellent. We are at a proper level of ocean salinity. All right, we're getting ready for a 1/4 scale test. I've got my piece of wood that Rose floated on, and I've got a scale-weighted Rose. We should see identical behavior to the full-size one. Here we go. Rose lies down on it. Oh, that actually, wow. In the movie, you can see that it's lapping on most of the board, and that's exactly what we're getting here.
So far, so good. Adam's eye for detailed and mathematically accurate scaling has paid off. Now, what about the myth itself? Could Jack have jumped aboard?
Here we go. Jack and Rose. Nope. Whoa, they're about sinking. Hold on. It doesn't look like they can stay afloat.
That means this maiden voyage myth is on thin ice, and the movie's looking like the real deal.
Science is on my side.
So what we see in the movie where he tries to climb on and the thing starts to tip over, seems like it's totally accurate. There they go. Well, it seems that all the time I spent making my dolls exactly 1/4 scale to their counterparts and using the exact same wood for the wood piece has paid off. We've learned some important things in scale. First and foremost, it would seem that all the behavior we see out of this piece of wood in the movie is accurate to reality. It is just barely buoyant enough to hold Rose's body out of the water. It also appears that it is not buoyant enough to keep Rose and Jack's body out of the water. Now, of course, Jamie and I are going to experiment with this in full scale.
Yep, it's too early to call it yet.
There they go. No.
Because the problem is not just about buoyancy. To find out if the film failed in the survivability stakes, Adam and Jamie will examine every aspect of cold water endurance.
It's alive!
Enter Thermo Man.
There it goes.
Oh! Adam and Jamie, cyborg midwives.
Up next, Carrie, Grant, and Tori are counting down to a wet and wild liftoff.
All right, I have a myth for you guys that I have been wanting to try since I started surfing.
What?
A California surfer moves to the Midwest and gets a little frustrated.
Oh, let me guess. No waves, dude.
Exactly. But instead of getting bummed out, he decides to make a rocket-powered surfboard.
Are you kidding me? Are you making this up?
No! Is that perfect? He takes a giant rocket, straps it to a surfboard, heads out onto a flat lake, and starts surfing.
Okay, no waves, no problem. I like it.
The story goes that a souped-up surfboard gave its rider a 20 miles per hour ride for 30 nail-biting seconds. But could a single supersized rocket really turn a languid lake into a radical ride? Or will this myth be a Duncan disaster?
All right, what do you guys think?
Okay, well, I have my doubts. Large rockets tend to have a lot of thrust and over a really small period of time.
Fair enough, but you know, we have to start somewhere. So let's just start with Buster on a surfboard with one really big rocket.
All right, well, I know just the place.
Look how gorgeous this is.
Man, it's totally flat. There's no waves. But that's no problem for us.
No problem at all.
We're here at the Quarry Lakes at the East Bay Regional Parks District so that we can test the rocket surfer myth. Now, this myth is where a guy straps one big rocket to his surfboard and sails across a lake going 20 miles an hour for a 30-second ride. Why? Because lakes are flat. They don't have waves. No matter what, this is gonna be an awesome day. You guys ready to rock it?
Yeah, MythBusters style.
This is our rocket surfboard. Just like in the myth, one big rocket.
Surf's up, dude.
Now, because we don't know exactly what's gonna happen, we're gonna use Buster. And because Buster can't stand, I built this back at the shop. We're gonna attach it to this and see how it goes. Nice pose, dude. This is our rocket motor stand. This is what goes inside of it. It's a Cesaroni K motor. You may remember from our James Bond ejector seat episode, 4 of these is enough to launch a guy straight up in the air about 25 feet. Fire! And because we're not fighting gravity on this, one of these should be more than enough to surf a lake.
The actual details of the rocket in the myth are few and far between.
Ouchie.
That's right, it's built for comfort.
But the advantage of their K-motor is that it's both powerful and relatively available, making it a realistic rocket of choice.
Is it just me, or are we actually strapping rockets to a surfboard?
With Buster ready to ride, all that's left for this surfing saga is a helping hand.
So we learned through all of our various rocket experiments through the years that it's really important to keep your rocket stable using a rail system. And that's exactly what this is. This is a 20-foot long guide rail, hopefully keep the surfboard upright, at least for the first 20 feet.
Yep, the team has proven a stable launch is a prerequisite for a successful flight.
Oh, how's he looking?
All right, we're good. All right, so we got our surfboard, we got our surfer, and we have a rocket strapped to the surfboard. Now, I don't know who the guy was who originally did this in the myth, but I'd like to shake his hand. I hope this goes well, because if it does, I think I might want to go for a ride.
Contrary to the "don't try this at home" mantra, Tori's keen to take a turn to test this for himself.
All right, we're wired.
But first, let's see how badly Buster gets busted up.
This is Rocket Surfer with one big rocket. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
That looked a little dangerous.
That is a lot of thrust.
Dude, that was a crazy flip.
Crazy flip is right. The moment Buster left the guide rail, he went heels over head. Literally.
So our rocket surfer got a perfect 10 for gymnastics. We got a nice loop-de-loo. What I think happened is that we had all of our weight in the back of the surfboard, as well as a huge amount of power, that impulse all at once, pushing our surfboard to curve upward and flip over.
Don't die on me.
You gonna be all right?
Nah, he's dead.
He's done.
Buster may be dead in the water, but the myth is hanging on. The team has a few ideas that might just bring it back to life. In 1912, the Titanic hit her iceberg nemesis and has lain in the eerie deep of the North Atlantic ever since. But in 2012, the ship has hit the fan for the movie. The fans are in a furious fever over the ending. So far, in small scale at least, it looks like Mr. Cameron nailed it.
It doesn't look like they can stay afloat.
Science is on my side.
But the guys aren't stopping there. To test the mortal limits of hypothermia, they're creating a stand-in with a circulatory system made from superconductive copper, embedded in gel close to the density of human flesh. It's complex and very, very cool.
I think that ought to work just fine. Look, this whole thing boils down to whether the way their survival was portrayed was accurate. In addition to the main question, was the board big enough? We also need to know whether, board or no board, anyone could have survived temperatures identical to those the day the Titanic sank. We need to know whether Jack and Rose would have survived long enough to be rescued. To find out, we're going to have to do some high-tech hypothermic testing to answer that question.
And the crucial reference for those tests is how long did it take for rescue?
All right, James, so for our hypothermia testing, we need to know exactly how long it took Rose to be rescued, but in the film it's a little ambiguous. What's the answer?
We show her getting rescued by 5th Officer Lowe, and he, according to survivor testimony, started his search about 20 minutes after the ship sank.
And how long did he search for?
About 45 minutes.
Okay, so he could have found her anywhere between 20 and 65 minutes after she hits the water.
Right, but let's push it toward the back end because we show her in the movie being one of the last ones rescued. He's almost ready to give up when he hears her whistle.
So let's say she blows her whistle at 63 minutes. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, perfect.
Cue Dr. Frankenheineman.
It's like I just picked up all of my blood veins and laid them on the table. All this plumbing right here is the cardiovascular system of our dummy. Now, the idea is to supply the same amount of heat to this dummy as your metabolism supplies you. So to do that, we're going to have a reservoir of blood, which is basically water. That water will be picked up by this pump and pumped into the intake of our vascular system here. It's alive! And it'll just keep circulating. It's beating just like a heart. I'd say we're in business.
That's the heart and pump system. But how will Thermoman generate heat like a real human?
The metabolism of our dummy in this case is replaced by this 300-watt fish tank heater. It will be able, under neutral conditions, to keep his body temperature at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. When we immerse him, however, it won't be able to keep up and his body temperature will start to drop. We'll monitor that on this, a thermocouple embedded right into the intake tube, so we'll be able to see directly how quickly his body temperature drops.
Next,
That's a thing, isn't it?
Jamie has prepped a mold to give Thermoman a body made of gelatin. To pour it, first he has to melt 180 pounds of it. Then, several hours and some safe latex precautions later,
Double gloving it.
the searing 300-degree Fahrenheit liquid is ready to go into the man-shaped mold.
That's hot. Jamie's double boiler worked a treat to get our ballistics gelatin up to the right temperature. When it was all molten, we forklifted it out of the double boiler,
We're getting there. All we have to do is wipe off the oil.
wiped it down, and traversed the entire shop with a 150-pound vessel of molten,
Man, that's hot.
really terrifying stuff.
Now, remember, if something bad happens, run.
Yep, I'm getting the hell out of the way. If anything bursts, this stuff will give you a 3rd-degree burn in an instant. I was wearing some very protective thermal gloves. Jamie and I both wearing welding jackets. Once we figure out that everything's in place, we open up the valve and it starts to pour in. This would be the moment of truth, yes? Oh, I can hear it now. It's flowing, filling up the feet. I can see it. So now it is just a waiting game. We sit, we wait for it to cool down, and soon we will unbolt this thing and see just what kind of hypothermic testing platform we've actually got.
So, Thermoman's gelatin flesh has been poured into his human-shaped mold, surrounding and supporting his copper veins. And once Jamie tops that off with a head,
Oh, look at you, you handsome devil.
and cracks open the mold,
There it goes.
Oh! Adam and Jamie, cyborg midwives.
our stand-in Jack and Rose is looking good.
That looks...
Creepy and upsetting and awesome all at the same time.
And once they turn it on, and the water flooding through the copper coils is at body temperature, it looks even better.
Hey, Adam, come check this out.
Oh!
Look at the coils.
That is so cool. It is totally working. It also looks like it's heating up the flesh around the coils.
You can see exactly where it's heating it up. Well, we've got Thermo Boy here up to 98.6. So it would seem that our cardiovascular system is up to the task of providing enough heat to our body to be equivalent to a normal human.
Everything's working. Ah, that's awesome.
Now it's time for him to go for a little swim.
The story goes that a maverick surfer rode a lake courtesy of a radical rocket. Buster, on the other hand, did not. But all is not lost.
All right, so based on what we've seen in our first run, we've got a new plan, and that is to lay him down on the board. It's going to do two awesome things for us. First, it's going to lower our center of gravity, and that's going to put our center of thrust more in line and hopefully increase our stability significantly. The second thing is hopefully it will extend the ride, so you can actually get across the lake in some form of surfing.
Remember, to confirm this myth, the guys need Buster's ride to peak at 20 miles an hour for 30 seconds.
All right, here we go. This is rocket surfboard laying down with one big rocket. In 3, 2, 1. Hey, that was pretty good. Look at how far he got into the lake. But dude, you know what? It wasn't 30 seconds.
So you don't think you could actually go from laying down to standing up and actually get a surf out of it?
No, it's too much acceleration.
Ain't that the truth? With massive acceleration for just a short burst, this was not the ride the myth needed. Meaning, it's time for Plan B.
Now it's obvious the single rocket is just too powerful and is not long enough to get the ride that we need. So we're gonna have to come up with a multiple rocket system. Now that's gonna be tricky because we have to find rockets that are small enough that we can combine them to start the surfer off slow so he doesn't get thrown off the board, and we're gonna have to have enough rockets to extend his ride out to the 30 seconds. And then trying to figure out how to get those rockets to fire off when we need them. This is gonna be tricky. But I'll tell you what, if it's safe, I'm gonna ask the producers if I can go for a ride.
What happens when you haven't got access to waves or a green screen? Supposedly, you try rockets. But so far, surf is far from up. And that's the bad news for Tori, because he's desperate to test this myth himself. However, our team of budding rocket scientists has a plan.
All right, so it looks like our fears were confirmed. The big rocket just has too much of an initial hit for him to surf. But I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he did some sort of configuration of small rockets.
You know, that's not a bad idea. I mean, we could take the small rockets, configure them in a way so we get a slow ramp up, and it's not too big of a thrust to knock the surfer off, and we could extend the ride to get that 30-second ride that the myth talks about.
You know what? We could start by pulling you on a skateboard, faster and faster, and find out what the maximum acceleration is that you can hang on without falling off.
Oh, that's a great idea, and then we could use that number as our rocket threshold. Whenever you have to wear padding for science, things generally go horribly wrong.
So to find out the maximum G-force that Tori can handle
What could possibly go wrong?
without falling over, they're going to yank Tori faster and faster.
Wow, that was intense.
Until the acceleration delivers a G-force he can't handle.
Tori acceleration at 60% capacity in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, whoa!
Just like that.
Okay, so this right here is the information from the data logger. Along this axis is time, and along this axis is the G load. You can see here the peak is at 0.8 Gs. So what this means is that none of our rocket tests should exceed 0.8 Gs. That way, we know that he'll be able to hang on.
And that all means to get this myth off the ground, they require a surfboard rocket rig that'll have a thrust below 0.8 Gs, but still hit the myth-specified 20 miles an hour for 30 seconds.
Rocket board.
And the plan is to use several banks of smaller rockets in a series of ignitions.
Each of these model rockets give us around 2 pounds of thrust. Now, our surfer and the surfboard weigh 180 pounds, and we need to get that weight up to 20 miles an hour. So we're gonna need 20 model rockets for that initial stage. Now, if this works, then we need to continue that thrust because these only last for 3 seconds. At that point, we're gonna have to figure out how many rockets we need for the second stage and at what time that second stage needs to go off.
With the surfboard prepped and Tori's rockets ready to roll, it's down to Treasure Island to find out if this myth has struck gold.
Why does this thing weigh so much?
Because you're a fat guy.
So here's our somewhat complicated setup for today's experiment. First of all, we're going to drape a guide cable the entire length of this somewhat murky water channel. Then we'll put the surfboard down in there, and we have touchdown. And connect it up to the guide cable.
I think I'm gonna need an antibacterial shower after this.
Next, we'll install the rockets, and then we're ready to go. We'll fire them off.
All right, the rockets are wired.
To collect data, we have our onboard accelerometer and our high-speed camera.
Tori's weight equivalent is strapped to the surfboard, and the 20 rocket Stage 1 is ready for ignition. It's time for launch.
All right, this is acceleration test for Rocket Surfer. All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1, firing. Awesome! Oh my gosh, that was beautiful.
It was a slow, controlled acceleration, and with a peak velocity close to the 20 miles an hour they need, this myth is on the up and up.
This is great. We got a measurement of 0.6 Gs on takeoff. Now, it's a little bit less than our predicted model, but the important thing is that it's below 0.8 Gs, which means Tori will be able to hang on in that situation. Now it's on to the two-stage test.
So now that we know how many rockets we need to push my weight 20 miles an hour, just like the myth says, it's time to figure out how to sustain that ride for 30 seconds. So what I'm gonna do is take a second bank of rockets and use a time fuse to extend the ride. All right, rockets are loaded. All right, here we go. This is two-stage rocket on the surfboard. In 3, 2, 1, fire it.
That's the sound of happy rocket scientists. Stage 1 fired and produced a gentle, rideable start. Then Stage 2 kicked in to extend the ride, just as they'd hoped.
So we learned two important pieces of information today. First, that 20 rockets is enough to give us a startup G load of 0.6 Gs, which is something that Tori should be able to ride. Second, we can sustain our ride and maintain our speed by delaying the firing of the next stage by 2 seconds.
Now we just need to add more stages to get that 30-second ride. The real question is, how much fun is it gonna be when I ride it?
Welcome back. I'm Jim Cameron, and this is MythBusters. Adam and Jamie are manning the lifeboats for the most requested tall tale that the guys have ever tackled.
Remember, kids, in order to perform science, you need patience. Patience willing to be subjected to dangerous experiments.
And the patient willing to take a lethally cold dip is Thermoman.
Another gorgeous sunny day in California. Perfect for replicating the North Atlantic winter. The question is, could Rose and Jack have survived on that piece of wood until rescue came? And it all boils down to how long the human body can stave off hypothermia. Now, we know medically how long the human body can stave off hypothermia if it's immersed in water. But if you're out of the water in wet clothes and the air is the same temperature, how long then? Is there a difference? My intuition tells me that there is, but that's what we are testing for. Gotta add a little more North Atlantic.
First, we're going to immerse our fully clothed dummy in 29-degree Fahrenheit water and see how long it takes for him to reach hypothermia.
Can I just tell you, I'm so glad it's not me doing this test.
Then we're going to pull him out, warm him up to his normal temperature, and put him in his wet clothing in 29-degree Fahrenheit air and see how long it takes for him to reach hypothermia there.
So that's the cold bath plan. But is it accurate?
So what can you tell me about the climatic conditions Rose and Jack were facing?
Well, it turns out there were really good records from the night of the sinking, and the water temperature would have been hovering, just below freezing, so around 28, 29 degrees Fahrenheit.
Hence the icebergs.
Yeah, exactly. But what's interesting is the air temperature was almost identical. So it was about 33 degrees at the time of the collision, but by the time of Rose's rescue, about 3 a.m., it had come down to 29 degrees. So your 29-degree comparison would be right on.
Excellent.
So with the director's seal of approval, Jack is warm to human body temperature and ready for action.
Let's go. The conduction of this test is going to be pretty straightforward. Jamie, with a little assistance, is going to dunk our dummy in the cold North Atlantic water. I will be monitoring his temperature drop every 30 seconds until he's dead.
And after 10 minutes, with Thermo Boy's temperature dropping significantly, we catch a rare glimpse of Jamie's tender side.
How you doing there, little buddy?
Real tender.
Sweet cheeks. As you move towards 96 degrees, you're shivering. As you move towards 91 degrees, you're shivering violently and uncontrollably. All this is a good thing because that's what your body is doing to keep you warm and alive. As you go beyond 91 degrees, you stop shivering, and that's a bad thing. Ow! That water's cold.
Our body is at 85 degrees at this point. He is on a solid trajectory towards dying, experiencing almost full immobility and stupor.
Yep, and the key symptom at this stage of hypothermia, loss of motor control, means Jack, unable to hang onto the board, would have drowned by now.
What's your diagnosis, Dr. Heidemann?
He's dead.
A diagnosis reached long before the 63-minute rescue time. So far, so good for the survival times portrayed in the movie.
Remember, kids, the only difference between screwing around and science is writing it down.
Now, with Thermo Man warmed back up to body temperature, what about survival on the board?
3, 2, 1, here we go.
Out of the water, in 29-degree air, would Rose have survived to die warm in her bed? If Jack could have got on board, would there have been a happy ending to the biggest disaster movie of all time?
93.5, the dude is seriously shivering at this point. This is interesting. In 23 minutes, our guy out of the water is at 90.7 degrees. At the same time, in the cold water, he was at 90 degrees. So we're pretty much almost neck and neck between both tests.
So, in terms of retaining heat, there's only the slightest advantage to being on the board, except in one crucial respect.
I should point out that Thermo Boy has just passed the 85-degree mark, which is the point that he would be in a stupor and immobile. Now, that means that if he was in the water, he'd probably drown. But he's not. He's on a board, he's in air, so he's got kind of a grace period here where he's not dead yet. He's got a few degrees to go before that happens. He might get rescued.
Yep, below 82 degrees, death is a deadly certainty. But at the time of rescue, Thermo Man's core temperature was above that. So, again, the movie is accurate. Rose would have been alive, just barely, when the lifeboat arrived.
So what do we take away from all this? Well, if you're in sub-zero water and weather, the difference between being in that water or out of it and wet is pretty small, but there is an advantage to being out of the water. And critically, once you pass 85 degrees core body temperature, you can no longer move your limbs. If you're in the water when that happens, you are nothing but a weight heading to the bottom of the sea. If you are on your board or boat or whatever you've got, you might just last until rescue.
Quite simply, Jack's only chance of survival is to get on the board. But could he? There's only one way to answer that question. Adam and Jamie,
Don't call me Rose,
are getting wet and intimate for science. Is it true, with no waves in sight, you can power a surfboard with a rocket? Resident human crash test dummy, that's Tori under the afro, is ready and willing to find out. So it's off to the perfect location, Quarry Lakes Regional Parks,
I'm a little nervous. What if this thing blows up?
for the maiden launch of Belleci's Bodacious board, a board that has been extensively modified.
Keel weight is installed.
We have a steel protective box so that our surfer won't get hit with any of the rocket flame. We have altered the shape of the surfboard, giving a little junk in the trunk to give us added stability the way that outriggers would. On the bottom, we've got a strake going along the board that'll keep us in a nice straight line and not toss our surfer off. We also have a weighted keel for extra stability.
Lock the rockets! So this is the rocket bank. We have over 200 rockets. The first bank of 30 will go off. Now that'll get the surfer going so it doesn't just shoot from underneath his feet. Now, after that happens, there's a fuse that runs through the rest of the rocket. So every 2.5 seconds, another bank of 15 will go off to keep the speed steady and to extend the ride to 30 seconds at 20 miles an hour. This is gonna be so sick. But before we try this, I wanna make sure this thing is rideable.
So the first rocketless ride will be a stability tow test from a boat to check out the modified board's rideability.
I come in peace.
As long as you don't end up in pieces. So Tori's up. He is looking for stability because we actually haven't ridden this board before. He has the equivalent weight of the rockets in the back so that he can actually see if this is going to topple over. It's looking good. I think we might actually have a rocket test coming.
All right, so the adjustments that we made to the board seem to be working.
The stability's good.
Let's go for it.
Yeah.
The real question now is, how is it going to behave once they're rockets?
The power.
It's a dangerous and unpredictable 800 pounds of thrust on a sensitive timed fuse. So it's the non-human crash test dummy that will be stepping up first. The team has to know it's going to be safe for Tori.
He looks excited about this one.
Same setup as before. Rail system out on the water, electric match to remotely ignite it from a safe distance. Then we'll see what happens.
All right, we are wired. Let's launch this guy.
If it's safe, then it's Tori time.
Okay, here we go. This is Buster Rocket Surf. In 3, 2, 1.
Good launch,
Yeah, look at that, look at that, look at that. That was awesome! Buster's Rocket Surf was an epic ride.
It totally worked! That's awesome!
amazing.
And he didn't fall in, he surfed it.
Just that last jump made it a little scary to actually think Tori's gonna be on the board.
I think it's time I suit up.
Yeah?
I think so.
I've already picked out a really nice bouquet to bring to him in the hospital, and I'm sure there are not that many stitches involved.
Welcome back. This is MythBusters, and this is James frickin' Cameron.
I am indeed James frickin' Cameron.
We've been testing a very controversial story here.
At the end of the movie Titanic, could Jack and Rose both have gotten onto the board and survived?
So we conducted some small-scale tests here in a tub in the shop.
Jeez and crow, Jack.
And at that point, it was looking pretty good for my movie.
Yeah, then we extensively tested hypothermia.
What's your diagnosis, Dr. Heidemann?
He's dead.
So again, the movie's right, huh? Jack, in the water, would have died before a rescue got there, and Rose, out of the water, could have held on. So, it's myth confirmed, right?
Not just yet. We almost never call it based on the scale tests alone.
The ultimate test is always full scale.
Okay, full scale, but the actors are no longer available, so you're gonna be Jack, you're gonna be Rose.
Yes! Wait a second, I have a problem with this.
What?
We weigh more than Jack and Rose.
Ah, you're totally right. Well, look, we gotta build a board anyway, so let's scale up its buoyancy to adjust for our increased mass, and then we'll put it to the test once and for all. Are you ready, Rose?
Don't call me Rose.
Sorry.
So it's crunch time for Cameron's Conundrum. Off the shores of Treasure Island, will Rose Heinemann and Jack Savage both get on board the board and both survive until rescue? And speaking of the board,
We've had this thing carefully crafted to be an accurate replica of what was in the movie, based on designs provided by the Maritime Museum of Nova Scotia. It's the same material, same size. It's what we're going to use.
next it's over to the wardrobe department to get dressed for the occasion.
Let's go swimming.
In addition to this, I'm going to be wearing this cork and canvas replica life preserver, which Adam sewed up, and it's exactly like what they had in the movie.
Indeed, it's a period-accurate piece, made of the same materials and with the same buoyancy as the one Rose was wearing. And speaking of accuracy, Jamie has finessed the floating question.
So the board matches the movie, but we don't. We're heavier, obviously. So we're adjusting the board to give it the same amount of lift and stability that it does for Rose. According to our math, we need to make it 11% more buoyant. However, we're not just relying on a number. We'll know we've got it right if visually me on the board matches Rose on the board in the movie.
And what do you know? It does, which means they're in business. Woo! Meaning the myth is ready to sink or swim.
All right, Jamie, you ready for me to start the timer and start this test?
Go ahead.
Okay, 63 minutes till rescue starts now. Okay, Rose. I mean, Jamie. Sorry. Let's see if we can both get on this thing.
As the small-scale test predicted, it's not looking great.
Oh,
With Jack Savage struggling to stabilize himself and the board, the myth looks destined for a watery grave. Buster survived. So up steps Tori Belleci, rocket surfer.
All right, I'm ready for danger.
But before Tori takes on physics and physical danger, a few safety adjustments are required.
We identified 3 major problems. Number 1, triggering these stages. This rocket pack is supposed to go off in 15 separate stages. During our test, the first 4 went off fine, and then the rest of them went off all at once. So to combat that, we're flipping the whole thing over. So instead of triggering from bottom up, it triggers from top down. That way the rising heat doesn't set off subsequent stages before their time. Number 2, heat. This rocket pack burns hot enough to turn sheet aluminum into melted slag. So we've reinforced it with 18-gauge steel. We've also added an additional heat shield to keep the heat off of Tori. Now, if the rockets surge all at once like they did in the test, the third and final thing we've added is this line and this cleat so that he can hang on. He's going to be starting the reaction himself using this trigger box. This may look like fun and games, but this thing is no joke.
What could possibly go wrong? This is gonna be so much fun. All right, this is it. This is the moment where I'm gonna step onto a surfboard that has over 200 rockets on the back of it.
All right, buddy, are you ready to make history?
Yeah, I think so. Now, I'm a little concerned. There's a lot of safety issues involved. I mean, the whole bank could explode, the whole board could set on fire and burn me.
Get on the board. We'll see you out there. We'll be crossing our fingers for you.
All right, see you guys on the other side of the lake. But I have to say, I wouldn't trade this moment for anything. To be on a surfboard powered by a rocket, this is gonna be the best day ever.
Belleci 1, this is Control. Take your position on board the board. You are go for launch.
We're getting close to being ready.
Systems check is complete. You are cleared for takeoff.
This is Rocket Surfer Final Experiment.
Ride the rocket!
Go, go, go!
In 3, 2, 1, ignition. We have liftoff.
You okay?
Man down, man down. Nah, you can't keep Belleci down for long.
That was one incredible ride. The acceleration was insane.
I did it! I rode the rocket surfboard!
Everything didn't go exactly according to plan. Some of the rocket banks went off too early, meaning he didn't have that nice, slow acceleration we hoped for, but a little bit more of a hold on for dear life kind of ride.
That was awesome!
Rocket surf! But he still did it. He held on to the almost bitter end before he fell off.
That was insane! You did it!
It literally happened so quick. It was like I was trying to get my balance and I hit the switch, and before I knew it, I was in the middle of the lake. It was crazy.
Crazy, incredibly lucky, and a brilliant feat of engineering.
This is one of those experiments where 100 things have to go right in order for you to be successful. Getting that 30-second, 20-mile-per-hour ride is a very difficult problem, mostly because of the rockets. They're heavy, they have a high center of gravity, the timing is critical, you don't have a lot of space. Having been said, I feel like we all need to go buy some lottery tickets, because that could have been disastrous, but it went exceptionally well.
And with that, it's back to the shop to wrap it up.
I think we should supersize this.
That was awesome.
It was so much fun.
All right, so how are we gonna call this one?
Well, I did ride a rocket-powered surfboard, so can't we call it plausible?
Yeah, but based on our parameters, I checked the high speed. You didn't quite make it to 20 miles an hour.
And you didn't have a full 30-second ride.
And there's the fact that we had to use multiple rockets instead of the one rocket like the myth talks about.
Yeah, so based on technicalities, this one is busted.
All right, it's busted. Man, that was one dangerous experiment.
Needless to say, do not try this one at home.
You ready to start this test? Okay, Rose. I mean, Jamie. Sorry.
Let's see. Here, we can both get on this thing.
Will Adam and Jamie's Titanic tale be consigned to Davy Jones' locker? Jack's first attempts to get aboard the board seem very similar to the movie. The board does appear to be only made for one. But once they stabilize and get their balance, things are looking up.
All right.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
So when I first got on, it felt anything but stable. Just like the movie and the small-scale test we did, it felt like it could tip at any moment.
It's holding us up out of the water, mostly.
And if we were in nearly freezing temperatures in danger of passing out, that would be a real issue. So I had an idea.
You're wearing a life jacket. What say, Rose? Spread some of her buoyancy around. Let's put it underneath this thing and get every bit we can out of it.
And it's the MacGyver-style tweak that really puts the nail in this myth's coffin. The additional buoyancy has made a massive difference. They're no longer floundering around, but sitting pretty. In fact, so pretty that Rose is ready to nap her way to the 63-minute rescue.
80% of my body is out of the water and in the air.
Yeah, same here. If we can hold this sort of stationary, I think we're golden.
Now, even though I'm partially submerged, and our test results showed that there's not much of a difference once you're wet in freezing cold weather between being in the water and out of the water, the board gives us a distinct advantage. After about 30 minutes subjected to this kind of cold, both of our muscles would start to lock up and we would not be able to move properly. Our motor skills would deteriorate to almost nothing, which, if we were in the water, would mean we would drown. If we're on the board, it might mean that we're merely unconscious until rescue happens. And there's one more thing, which Jamie and I are unwilling to demonstrate experimentally, but Rose and Jack could have used their combined body heat to keep each other slightly warmer. That might give them that extra few minutes that would mean the difference between life and death. Jamie, we're almost there. 15 seconds.
Well, you know, however noble Jack's intentions might have been, sometimes discretion is the better part of valor.
Hang on, Rose!
With all we've learned, I think Jack's death was needless. Don't call me Rose.
Sorry. The key fact is, we're rescued. We totally made it on top of the board with most of our bodies out of the water in 63 minutes.
All right, James, we have some good news and we have some bad news.
All right, give me the good news.
Okay.
Well, the good news is the movie got it right as far as hypothermia. Jack would have drowned and Rose would have been able to hang on long enough to be rescued.
The bad news is, based on our experiments, we have to find that they both could have survived on that board.
Really?
There were a couple of things, and the first was that we were able to retie the life preserver that Rose was wearing underneath the board, and that gave it more buoyancy.
And we were able to prop up our bodies on the board so that most of our body mass was actually outside of the water. Based on that, we gotta say, this is plausible. Rose and Jack could have survived.
I think you guys are missing the point here. The script says Jack dies. He has to die. So maybe we screwed up and the board should have been a little tiny bit smaller, but the dude's going down.
I can't argue with that.
No.